Hello everybody, coming up on this episode, Alpine confirms a deal change with Mercedes come the new 2026 regulations. We discuss the 2025 F1 launch event, the upcoming F1 movie, and who are your top drivers going into the 2025 season. All that and more coming up on this episode of the podcast. Name to be confirmed.
If he continues this way, he's going to be one of the greats.
Today we saw something amazing.
This is Formula One. This is the sport we love.
Hello everyone, great to see everyone again. It's been a while. My name's Alex Harrington. This, to my right, is the brilliant Lydia and me. We both write for Sports Illustrated on the old motorsport stuff, and we both do the same thing for Newsweek and the Sporting News, just to add some context to what we're doing here. Right, if you're new here, we've done this for a little while, but things got crazy last year, so we haven't really done a podcast, but this year is going to be huge. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff on YouTube. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff around the world. Last year was great. We went to Vegas. Vegas was insane to watch Max take his 4th championship. We did a lot. This year is going to be insane. We've got a lot of races lined up. We're going to be behind the scenes. We're going to be talking to people, talking to drivers. We're talking to McLaren's marketing director later this month to be like, hey, what's going on? How have things become so massive? But before we get into that, let's talk about the first part of this podcast, which is your top drivers heading into the 2025 season. Now, we put out on Instagram, Sports Illustrated _F1 and F1 briefings. We kind of share things around here. We're very lovely people. We asked you who your top drivers were heading into the 2025 season. Now, we're going to talk about this, aren't we? Mm-hmm. But let's first of all go through some of you guys, what you've said. Sorry, I'm going to be looking at my laptop. You've got your iPad, so eyes might not be constantly looking at you. But we're going to do our best to have a bit of a conversation about this. Right. What are we talking about when we ask for the top 3 drivers? It's not like their performance, is it? It's more about the expectations.
Yeah, I think obviously if we were just asking for performance, people will just jump to Max, or the people at the top of the standings. It's going to be fairly obvious who you choose. But I think because we've got so many driver changes this year, as well as rookie drivers, expectations on each driver are a little bit different. For example, Carlos Sainz, his expectations are going to be different because he's changing to Williams. He's not in Ferrari anymore. So it's quite interesting to see what people are thinking going into the season. Obviously, a lot of people are going to say Max, Lando, Charles.
Yeah.
It'll be very interesting. But expectations, I think, are a mixed bag now because it's all changed.
Oh, it's going to be an exciting season.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Me too. So let's go straight into these comments. Right, the notorious _Weeb, as you expected, said Max, and Max. What do we think? Max is going to be pretty good. Let's face it.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. But I do feel like, expectations are very high for him to do well, and he will do well. He is currently the one to beat, 4-time champion, 4 consecutive championships.
Yeah, that, by the way, is not Max. That's Alex Albon. I don't have any images of Max.
Former teammate
Alex Albon. So I'm just going to go back to this view because we are what's called underprepared.
But yeah, obviously he's going to do well. And I think what's even more exciting is who will be challenging Max this year. It's probably going to be similar, Lando, but there will be some others in the mix, I think.
I think as well, the interesting thing is this is the first year Red Bull is going to go into a season without Adrian Newey. Oof. And look, we found, when Adrian left Red Bull kind of part way through last year, there was a bit of a performance dip, and we don't know if there's a correlation. Correlation doesn't mean causation. Adrian left, and obviously, look, he's a whiz. Like, he knows how to build a car. He has the credentials where you go, yeah, okay, you've got an effect on this. But, the RB20 had RB20. Oh my God, RB21? No, RB20. Yeah. I'm losing everything. It had a bit of a hiccup. There was balance issues. It wasn't like Monaco was the first race where it kind of struggled with the suspension, and obviously, the suspension, how the car moves in relation to the ground, completely changes the aerodynamics. So something they are trying to do this year. Helmut has said it. Helmut Marko, the basically like let's face it, one of the masterminds behind Red Bull, the driver selection at least. He said this year we're not going to go for the performance of the car, we're going to go for a less peaky car. So like a more, a wider operating window, which is what Max and what Perez really struggled with last year. I say struggled, obviously Max took the championship, so he didn't struggle that much.
Yeah.
But it wasn't as easy as it was the year before that. Patrick.Gaber06 says Charles, Max and Lando. Those are probably like the top 3 picks, aren't they?
Yeah. I think that makes sense, but I think from an expectations point of view,
Like you kind of expect
it
it.
is high for Lando. He's going to be under a lot of pressure this year, partly from himself, because he's like, this is my year. Last year, they had a slow start, so it was almost like from Miami, that's when they really started getting going. Whereas if they can go into the season full swing,
Yeah.
then
Yeah, exactly. You're right.
he has a real chance, but also there's the team dynamics situation as well, where he's got such a strong teammate that you don't really like, almost with, I'm going somewhere and I will get to that point eventually. But with Max, obviously he was with Perez, the team's always going to prioritise Max. Not that they really needed to do that so much last year. We won't really talk about that too much.
Miss you, Perez.
But with McLaren, there will also be that involved where it might be a little bit more evenly matched, which might actually not help Lando because the points then will be more evenly matched.
Yeah.
See, I got there in the end.
Oh, they had the papaya rules last year as well, which was so stupid. Well, I say stupid, it worked out for them. Like, you know, hindsight is 2020, but they actually played the year perfectly. Because, you know, Lando was nowhere near Max in the end. But yes, you're right. This year it's going to be really interesting because Oscar is so good. Yeah. And let's not forget, he hasn't been in the sport for that long.
Yeah,
and he's still...
This is his third... This is going to be his third year.
Yeah.
And like they've said, it's a nice problem to have. Like, they've got 2 really strong drivers. I find it really exciting.
Let him at it. That's what I say. Let him at it.
Oh, God.
Andreal423 says... That was complicated. Number 1, Carlos Sainz. Interesting choice.
I agree.
I like it. Number 2, Verstappen. Number 3, Gasly.
I kind of agree with that too.
Yeah, like Gasly, he was on fire towards the end of the season.
Yeah, I think there was a bit of a shift when Esteban said that he was going to be leaving, and that was all confirmed, because there was a little bit of a, I don't want to say rift, but there was a little bit of something going on.
Oh, there was, yeah.
In the team.
They clashed.
Yeah, they've always had a strong rivalry throughout their whole career. So I think when that was confirmed that Esteban was going to leave, Pierre kind of took the number 1 role. It wasn't really clear who was number 1 beforehand, but Esteban was there longer, so you can kind of assume. But he was putting in some really good performances, and I feel like in an Alpine that's tough.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I just asked Flavio.
Yeah, I do think that actually he could exceed expectations this year. I think he's going to be going in strong. He's got some new confidence in the team. He's, he's clearly going to be the number 1 driver because he's with the rookie now. So I'm quite excited for Pierre this year.
He's always been quite underrated, I feel. And I think, now Alpine, there's a lot of stuff going on. We'll get onto that later in the episode. There's a lot of stuff going on. It's hopefully given him a bit more confidence, and I hope it's given him like the feeling of more responsibility to be leading this team. And with responsibility comes like performance. So I'm hoping this is going to be a good year for him. Now we got loads and loads of comments. We can't go through them all, so we're gonna talk about our opinions going into the 2025 season. You go ahead. I'm gonna grab my notes, which I made earlier on, and let's talk about who you think. Who are your top 3? And we're not just saying top 3 as in like points. We're going in with like expectations. Yeah,
I think first of all Charles.
Yeah.
Because expectations are high for him anyway, because he's been having he had a strong 2024. He did well in 2023. Ferrari has obviously also, been a little bit up and down, but last year they were on really, really good form. So I think they're going into the season in a good position. But I feel like because Lewis Hamilton is joining, there's like no one really knows what to expect from Charles, how he's going to deal with that. He's been the like Ferrari favourite for so long. He's like their golden child. And Lewis, there's no point signing Lewis Hamilton and having him as a second driver. So there's going to be kind of like this weird shift, I feel, for Charles. But I think rather than bringing him down, I think that's only going to push him further. And I kind of feel like this could be his year for a championship.
I mean, you look at Ferrari's form towards the end of last year, and everything just started to click into place.
Yeah.
And I think the one thing that I noticed, and that other people definitely noticed, was the rift is probably the wrong word, but the rivalry really forming between Carlos and Charles.
Yeah.
But wow, it's snowing crazily in England right now. But you know, like Carlos was leaving. He needed to make sure that he was a top driver for teams to look at.
He had a point to prove.
Exactly.
And he proved it.
But it is actually a shame that he's leaving Ferrari, because I think that driver pairing was brilliant.
Same.
Go on, who's your second driver? This isn't in any order, but
you gave me the perfect segue, because actually it's Carlos Sainz. Partly because he's obviously an incredible driver, but no one really knows what to expect from Williams. They're still kind of in this transitional phase. I think James Vowles joining Williams, almost said Ferrari then. Breaking news. James Vowles joining Williams was, I think, the best thing for the team. I think they've also got a really strong relationship going with Alex Albon, and that's going really well. I can see Albon and Sainz being really successful with Williams in the future, but no one really knows when that's going to happen yet. 2025 is also the last season.
We're just going to do that
before the regulation change. But I still feel like Sainz can get some good performance out of that car.
I think you're right. I think, you know, Sainz, again, he has to prove himself, because I don't feel like he's feeling a longevity with Williams. You know, like Flavio was like, yeah, Sainz is still on the radar, and, you know, he even Fred Vasseur, team principal of Ferrari, is like, yeah, we're still kind of talking with Carlos, because
you can come back if you want.
Like Lewis isn't going to be around for that much longer. I give it 2 more years. If he wins in 2026, if like the stars align for that man and he takes the championship with Ferrari in 2026, if it was me, I'd leave. I'd be retiring on a high point. I mean, this is Lewis. He'll be like, no, I'm going to go for my 9th.
Yeah, I can't decide
2027,
on that.
but
I partly agree, but then, I mean, Fernando's still going and enjoying it. Like, it must be such a... We're going on a tangent here, but...
Massive tangent. It's what we do.
It must be weird thinking, like, well, what do I do with my time now?
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
I don't know. I feel like he still feels very young.
Oh, totally.
So I can see him sticking around for a long time.
I don't know if I can see him sticking around in the driver's seat. Like he now knows what it feels like to fail. That's the interesting thing. Does he want to go through that again? Like, he was so dominant with Mercedes. Like, you know, seven world championships in his career, and suddenly it gets to 2021. This isn't an opinion. Like, the rules were broken, and he lost a championship. Whatever, doesn't matter. Max won. Good, great. Like, no opinions on that. But, like, you know, that must hurt. And then he goes into the 2022 regulations thinking, damn, we've got something interesting. We've got a zero pod. We've got, like, the Mercedes looks cool. It's silver again. Because, you know, colour makes a lot of difference. And then it's suddenly pulled away from him. And, you know, he went through a load of mental challenges at that point. And he talked about this. So does he want to, if, let's say, things go really well in Ferrari, does he want to then risk the feeling of it all slipping away again? Would he think, I'm going to pull out, I'm going to be a brand ambassador for Ferrari, which he is, I'm going to consult with a team, become like the Niki Lauda of Ferrari? That is kind of what I would do.
Yeah, you've kind of sold me on that, I won't lie.
Well, yeah.
Would he be an ambassador for Ferrari or Mercedes?
Ferrari, it's already confirmed.
Do you think?
Yes, it's in his contract. Yeah, it's the one reason.
You know,
one reason he left.
The details of the contract.
Oh, we don't know exactly the details of the contract, but we can guess, along with the $400 million euro salary or whatever it
I
was.
feel like that might be a persuading factor.
That would help me.
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot of it's going to his charities. That was like the main point behind it. But Mercedes didn't offer him the ambassadorship, which is one reason he was like, actually, I don't feel like this is very mutual anymore. So, anyway, back to Carlos Sainz. Were we talking about Carlos Sainz?
Yeah.
Carlos. He's great. I think he's like one of the best drivers on the grid. He's got the experience, and I'm interested to see what he does with Williams. I think it could be great for him. Now, your third and final driver. Let's talk about him.
So I'm gonna go for Yuki Tsunoda.
Yuki Tsunoda.
That's Carlos Sainz.
There he is.
I just
Why
think
are our images really screwing up?
it's a bit of
Did
it's a bit of a tricky season, I think, for Yuki, because obviously he's just lost out on the Red Bull seat. It's kind of Red Bull saying we don't see a long-term future with you, because he's in the team where it's supposed to nurture the younger talent up into Red Bull. Liam Lawson's just like flown through. And even Christian Horner has said, like, he called him always the bridesmaid.
Never the bride. Oh. It's sad.
Gutting.
Isn't it?
Yeah. And I just think, especially with Honda leaving Red Bull, moving to Aston Martin, I know there's no confirmed future seat there, but there's things that could change.
Yeah, because Yuki Tsunoda has the deal with Honda.
Yeah. And I just, it's like Carlos Sainz last year. He's got a point to prove, being like, you should have chosen me. This is why.
I like that. Yeah. I do. I agree. Like he's going to have a fire in his belly. He's. I mean, I don't know. Like you're right. I don't think he has a future in Red Bull. They've kind of proven that. I think he does have a future in Aston Martin.
Yeah.
If Lance continues the way he's continuing,
if Fernando Alonso decides to retire,
that's
which
right.
I
His
think
contract goes till the end of 26.
Yeah.
So, and he's already he's kind of getting ready for that retirement in 2026 as well. Yuki could have a space there. I mean, imagine Yuki Tsunoda replacing Fernando Alonso. That's a compliment and a half.
And Adrian Newey's there. That could be the biggest middle finger.
Well, it's confirmed. Yuki Tsunoda, 2027 champion. But no, I mean, you're right. He's going to have a fire in his belly, and then 2027 he can take the championship. 2028 he can start his restaurant.
Yeah. And
cool.
Maybe have a film made about him where Jason Statham plays him.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Perfect.
Yuki, get in touch, mate.
Yeah.
I'm here. Right, okay, let's talk about my picks. So number one was Oscar Piastri for me. I think Oscar he's got the potential. Like we said, he's early in his career. He's only been in F1 for 2 years. And you see what he did last season. Lando has been in F1 for, 73 years now. No, but and he's good. You can see he's been driving for that long. He almost took the championship. He helped McLaren get the constructors. There's no negativity against Lando. I love that guy. But Oscar has shown that he's good enough to fight Lando. And when you're 2 years in, competing with someone who's been in the team for so long, I feel like Oscar is possibly one to win. He's a bit of a dark horse for 2025, I think.
I agree. Sorry, just to
go for it.
Cut you off there. I do think he's a future champion, but I do also think it's worth saying that Lando just a bit of defence here.
One thing, I don't think he's a future champion.
We're going to come back to that in a second because I feel quite strongly about this. So, Lando has been with the team helping them build back up. Oscar did come in at a time where they were almost there. So
yes.
He does look better on paper in that way.
Yes. Well, it's I'm trying to think of, I was going to say Red Bull. Red Bull have had really good drivers, but Albon, Perez.
There's so many factors involved.
Too many variables.
There's so many. And so you don't think he's a future champion? Oh, I've said from the beginning that I think he's a future champion. I think he's really level-headed. He acts way more mature than way older than he is. He's very pragmatic about it. I don't know. I have a feeling.
Oh, fine. You've persuaded me. No, he is.
That was easy.
If he's given the right machinery, and if Lando, the thing is like he's up against Lando, who has so much more experience. Now he's a bit peaky. Lando is peaky. He gets emotional about it, and obviously last year he had, I think his emotions got in the way of a lot of what he was doing. I don't know. Maybe Piastri's just underrated. Well, I mean, obviously not, because I've got him as like my number one pick. But yeah, okay, fine. Okay, number 2 is George Russell. I think, talking of underrated, George Russell is seriously underrated. I mean, he proved that's still Carlos Sainz. He proved that he could take on Lewis Hamilton. And yeah, ignore the image issue in the middle. We're doing this live, baby. Look, George has been seriously consistent. His qualifying pace was insane. His race pace probably needed a bit of work. I feel like he's still kind of understanding the car, and at least towards the start of the season, he was kind of still understanding the car. The second half of the season, he was right there with it. Like he said it himself, that he really started to mold with the car. And like, people had this meme of like, if Hamilton starts 10th and Russell starts 1st, they'll meet in the middle. Like, and Hamilton will come 4th, Russell will come 5th, whatever. But that's just because Hamilton's qualifying pace was so bad. And then Russell's qualifying pace was so good. But then Hamilton has the experience of a 7-time world champion. His racecraft is insane. I know Hamilton was struggling, but again, it's too many variables to kind of compare, I suppose. I just feel like George, he's going in as team leader this year. And that, like we said about, the other guys, like he comes in with a level and sense of responsibility. And I think he can do it. Like, he's a mature guy. People just don't really like him. I think the issue is Hamilton has a lot of fans.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm one of them. I love the guy. I think he's a great guy, great racer. But George, he's kind of in Hamilton's shadow. With Hamilton moving to Ferrari, George now has the spotlight. And I'm interested to see what he does with that spotlight.
I also think as well, he's just another year in the team. I think last year we really saw him working more with the team on a strategy point of view. And he, like the year before, and now you might have to bear with me because I'm getting a bit mixed up on my years because they're going too quickly.
I hate it.
But he was making kind of quite bold strategy calls that were in some instances just wrong.
Yeah, he chose dry tires in the wet and stupid things like that.
Pit timing and all of that. And I think last year he was a bit more calm about it. He was more in tune with the team. They were on the same page a bit more. And that's only going to get stronger, especially now as he's going to be the number 1 driver. And he's going to have this responsibility, as well as everybody else in the team, but to take Kimi Antonelli under his wing. And I think George is the type of guy to thrive in that situation.
I like what you did there.
Thank you. It actually was just going to happen anyway, so I thought I may as well.
That was fantastic. You can see why you're a professional,
Yeah, I'm professional. Wait, am I meant to be getting paid for this?
There's some money. Okay, before we get really sad, the third driver, we're going to start picking up the pace because it's only been 25 minutes. Third driver for me, Alex Albon. Look, Alex is going to be joining, Carlos is going to be joining Alex at Williams, but Alex and James Vowles, team principal at Williams, they have this connection, right? Mm-hmm. And Alex has already proven that he's consistent. He can put up a good fight against any kind of teammate he has. Now, this is going to be the interesting bit, though, because we know how good Sainz is. I know we're still looking at Russell. We know how good Sainz is. And we know that, Alex hasn't had the greatest of teammates, so it's very difficult to compare. But I think this is his year. Williams seems to be in a good place. They're restructuring. They're trying to pay off all the crash damage. So I think 2025, clean slate. Alex has been consistent, and that consistency is going to help him. I think he's going to get points. I think he's going to do well. The expectations are low, I feel, for Williams as a team, especially after the end of last year. They got a lot of things wrong. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily they got a lot of things wrong. The drivers got a few bits wrong.
There was just a lot of crashing.
There was a lot of stuff going on. But Alex, I feel like he has it on lock. I think this could be great for him. He just needs the confidence in his machinery, which I think Williams are eventually going to give him.
Yeah, I think I very almost chose him. So I completely agree with you.
There you go.
And I think from what he's said in the media so far ahead of 2025, he doesn't want to say, I'm confident. Because who is going to be like, yeah, I'm really confident. And then, you fall flat on your face. It's really embarrassing. But I think...
It's like Russell in 2022. That thing looks fast.
It looks like drop dough. Anyway, so I just think that he is a little bit more confident. And I think he just hasn't been in the situation in whichever team to really prove himself. And I'm really excited for Albon and Sainz partnership.
So am I. I'm interested to see how that dynamic works because I feel like they wouldn't be friends outside of F1. I know.
Well, we just couldn't speculate, could we?
No, couldn't speculate.
I mean, they all live in Monaco. They all play paddle together.
They're probably great friends, and I'm probably completely wrong.
Yeah.
As usual. Right, let's get on to the next story. Alpine are doing some crazy stuff, man. They're doing some weird stuff. I'm gonna swear, but I want this to be monetized. So, look, Alpine have confirmed that they are going to be using a Mercedes power unit but their own gearbox in 2027. Now this is weird because it's already been confirmed that Alpine, they've got a multi-year agreement with Mercedes starting from 2026 when the new regulations come about. Huge change in where the cars get their power. It's going to be 50-50 electric to combustion engine. And look, Renault's in a bit of an issue right now. Alpine, it's just a brand, it's just a logo they've slapped over the Renault logo. They're in a bit of deep water. They've brought on Flavio Briatore, and he's gone, money's an issue. Let's pull back on everything. Get rid of the Renault power units, get rid of the Renault gearboxes. We're going to pay Mercedes because, let's face it, they've got the best stuff they've got the best power unit, the best power train on the grid. One of the best, at least. But now they've said that actually in 2026, yes, they're going to keep it, but they're going to be working on a gearbox for 2027, but they're going to be keeping the Mercedes power unit? It doesn't quite make sense to me.
If you're looking to me for clarity, you're not going to get it, I'm afraid. Because make it make sense. I don't understand it because Mercedes have such a strong history with the new regulations, whenever that changes, that they are strong in their power unit, gearbox, maybe not their aerodynamics so much, but that's not really their issue. So I just don't get it. I don't understand why they would form this new relationship with Mercedes and then kind of go back on it. And they're trying to save money, but now they're developing a gearbox, but they're still not doing the whole power unit.
Yeah, which surely is harder. Like, I can understand if you're developing the whole powertrain, you'd be like, okay, cool. Like, new engine, hybrid parts, gearbox. Makes sense to be developing that in one block. Mm-hmm. But now they've got to mould the Mercedes power unit to the Renault gearbox. That just seems like more work when they could just stick with Mercedes. And look, they've got to get their ducks in a row. They're all over the place, which this proves. They're all over the place. I know they had a bit of a resurgence at the end of last season, but like something is wrong at Alpine. I just don't get it. I mean, look, even Briatore at the end. I think it was at the end of the season. He said Mercedes will give us the best engine and the best gearbox in the business in 2026. So why change in 2027?
But not 2027, apparently.
Why change? Yeah. So look, my thinking is when they removed all the development from the Renault company, they removed the engine and they removed the gearbox. The gearbox, by the way, I still think is being developed in Enston. But the French part of the company, they complain because they lose their jobs. Of course, like I'd be complaining too. Like that's pretty rubbish. But then, is this some sort of like, okay, yeah, we've done you dirty here, so we're gonna kind of dangle a fish or a fish
carrot? I
a
think
carrot, smelly carrot. Dangle a carrot and be like, okay, we're still gonna build the gearbox. Hang around. Are they just moving people around the company? I don't know. Is it like we're sorry, we're going to give you something to work on? Is it like is it a move of diplomacy?
I feel like that's the closest explanation we're going to get. I mean, they haven't provided an explanation, so we don't know. But that seems to be the only place I can see some logic, maybe.
Yeah.
But like you say, there's just been too much change at Alpine. The team principal keeps changing. I think they've got a long-term situation going on now with Oliver Oakes, and I think he is great for the team. But prior to him, it was constant change. They're now changing the drivers. They've got Flavio in, who also I think is going to be a good, well, already is a good thing for the team.
Yeah.
But they need some stability to continue with where they left off and like build on from 2024.
Do a Williams.
But they just keep changing.
Do an Aston Martin.
There's only one Adrian Newey.
No, I mean, you know what I mean? Like Aston Martin, they use Mercedes stuff. They've put down the foundations.
Yeah.
In an easy way. That isn't going to cost them that much. I mean, it is, but like not as much as developing everything from the ground up. And they've focused on what matters. Getting the right people in the right places.
Yeah.
Alpine seemed to be... I thought they were doing that. When Flavio came on board, I thought, this is great. Like, things are going to get good for Alpine. And then they stopped being a works team, which was a bit of a shame to lose a works team from Formula One. Mm-hmm. But it's the best thing for the team to do. Again, get the Mercedes power unit and powertrain, perfect, and then they can get their ducks in a row, like I said. But they're not doing that. They're just kind of if what where when. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, hopefully they prove us wrong.
Hopefully they do.
Hopefully.
Now this is an interesting thing, isn't it? Like the next story is the F1 launch event. It is the 75th anniversary of Formula One this year, and instead of allowing teams, I mean they are allowing teams, but instead of kind of just letting teams get on with their thing to release their 2025 cars, I say cars, it's going to be like liveries on a mule. They've put together this event. It's going to be February 18th, time, GMT time, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Bit late. It's at the O2... I like an early night. It's at the O2 Arena in London, and all the teams are going to be here. And I think they have 20 minutes or less to show off their cars. I can't remember the exact time, but this has kind of caused a bit of an uproar because 90%, and that's a kind of an estimate of seats, have gone to sponsors and what they called? Influencers. I don't understand that. And then the tickets have been so ridiculously expensive. What are F1 doing?
I have mixed feelings about it. I get it. I get what they're trying to do. I feel like, it's such a big thing and a big milestone to celebrate that it does make sense to do some sort of event. But I just feel like it's such a shame to not give each team their moment, especially as so many of the teams are changing in terms of their drivers.
Yes. I've just realised your name is under me and my name is under you.
Well, that's okay.
That's okay. I think I suit Lydia. Go on, carry on. Sorry.
So I have mixed feelings about it. I get what they're trying to do and I don't hate the idea, but I don't think they should sell it as something as having fans at the forefront of their mind, because so many people tried to get tickets and couldn't. I feel like the price wasn't horrific.
So we've got written down here £50, £75 and £100 plus booking fees.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose if you break it down for 2 hours,
that's
but
that's £50 an hour.
The opportunity of who you'll see there is quite big. So I don't hate the price. I mean, F1 is not a cheap sport, is it?
Not anymore.
It's not cheap
for
fans,
really cheap,
and I don't see that changing for a really long time, which is very unfortunate. I don't agree with that at all. But what I think is going to happen is the teams will come out. They'll obviously be wearing their team kit. Everyone will be really excited, especially to see Lewis Hamilton in red. And then they'll bring out their cars, but it will just be their 2024. I said 2022 then. Send help. Their 2024 car with the new livery.
That's right.
But I still don't think it's going to be the full thing. I think, like Ferrari, they're going to do another reveal anyway.
Yes.
So
well, the teams, I mean, when you when you look at how much trust to put in the sport, you look at the stakeholders of the sport, and that is the teams. Like the main stakeholders are the teams and the drivers. Remove the investors because they're really financially interested for the most part. But like the teams and the drivers are the ones who care. The fact that they are putting on external events shows that they don't trust that this event is going to be good enough.
Yeah, or it's just not giving them their moment. Like
Yeah.
Ferrari especially always do such a big thing for their launches. You know, the drivers usually go out on track. It's a full event. That, I mean, even from their sponsors, maybe they feel like they need to do a bit more to kind of,
To
What's the word
put
I'm looking
sponsor on
for?
the screen. Yeah, no, you're completely
to
right. They
meet
need their
the
screen time.
expectations of their sponsors. That's where
Yes.
I was going with that.
Exactly. No, I just
Yeah.
feel I don't like this. So complete transparency. As media, we can kind of ask to be what's the word?
Considered. We're put on a list.
Yeah, we're put on a list.
Yeah.
We're down as two separate media outlets, Sports Illustrated, Newsweek, whichever, I don't know. So we're hoping we go because there's content there to write about. So that is our interest in the event. But I don't think the event is going to be good for fans. I don't actually think it's going to be great for media either because I don't know how much access, or not access, or I don't know how much we can get from it. Can we take photos? Can we take video? Knowing F1, probably not. If we're just going to write about it, we might as well just write about it from the office. But more of my feelings kind of revolve around where F1's going as a sport now. Anyway, even a couple of years ago we saw that influencers were getting much more priority than fans, even the media, and I think that's a huge shame because influencers are. Some of these influencers, I know some do have an interest in Formula One, and like there are some really great influencers who have gone to the races and they've done some great content coming out of it. Like like beauty influencers going to F1, but they're F1 fans, and you can tell that they're passionate, and I love that. That is all good in my book. But it's when like celebrities and influencers who just want to get a selfie in front of a blue car or like a red car, whatever, that annoys me because, and this is again a little bit behind the scenes of our job. It's like F1 they are now prioritizing influencers as well, even at the races, and they all prioritize influencers over media sometimes now, which is, I suppose it's just like the modern world, but I feel like the same thing is happening with this, where influencers, because they can just put a photo up or a video up or a reel up or whatever on Instagram or TikTok, it's replacing fans of the sport. And that is a huge shame to me because this basically just becomes a marketing exercise, when I do think it should be a celebration, not a marketing exercise. They shouldn't need to market it in that way when they should have trust in the F1 brand that is big enough to be celebrated by everyone on its 75th birthday.
Yeah. I don't have as much of a problem with influencers going, especially, I mean, some of them are literally F1 or motorsport influencers.
I don't care about that. That is great.
But I think there should have been maybe more of an even split, more fans to be able to go. Because also, as well as, obviously influencers have big platforms, but there's something to be said for just a lot of fans talking about it. And if they're there, they're going to be more excited about it rather than watching a live stream at home. And I personally, like from a fan's point of view, I really enjoy the lead up to the season, where you've got,
it's like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, isn't it?
of different car reveals, and they all do it a little bit differently. Some are a little bit more of a letdown when it's just a press release, but then others,
some of them haven't
really
got the marketing
exciting.
budgets.
Yeah, I mean, we're living in a cost cap situation here, so
marketing
I
does not come under the cost cap.
But I mean, maybe this is a positive for a team then. Does this eliminate all of that?
Good point. That is a good point.
But anyway, I do think there should have been more of an even split between influencers, fans, media.
I'm a fan first. I've been a fan of Formula One for like 20 years now, and more than that. And I just feel like fans are getting pushed out. And like I don't care. I know I'm talking about like being part of the media, but like that's only because that's the point of view I have right now. But like as a fan, it's just a shame. Like, the fans are what pays for things.
Yeah.
They are the one who buy the ticket. They're the ones who buy the tickets. They're the ones who buy the merch.
And with F1 weekends being so difficult to get tickets for, whether they sell out quickly, they do the dynamic pricing, or they're just really expensive, this could have been an event that is far more accessible for fans who are really passionate about the sport but don't have the budget to go to an F1 weekend. This could have been their chance to like get a bit of the action.
Yeah, like I know, the O2 Academy. It's the O2 Academy, isn't it? It's only like so big, but yeah, it's a shame that O2 Arena, but it's a shame that fans weren't given at least. I at least wanted fans to be thinking that they had priority.
Yeah.
But
it's a tricky one. I'm still mixed about it. I still think I like the idea, but there's like certain things I'd change. Definitely.
Yeah, there's a lot of things I'd change, and I think looking forward to the 76th year. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to say. Well, let's talk about something which is actually really positive now, and that is the F1 movie, and I'm excited about this. I'm holding my judgment.
Why are you hesitating?
Because of what we've seen so far. Like, Brad Pitt fainted in Vegas. We were at Vegas and we were looking down over the track, and they're going around. This is like 3 a.m., like 3:30, whatever, in the morning. And they have these Formula 2 cars, aren't they? They were going round and around the track. They were so loud, but it was fun because, like, racing. Like, who wouldn't want to watch regardless of the time? But then Brad Pitt gets out the car and he's got this film crew around him and he faints. And I'm like, I thought this was supposed to be close to realism.
There is that, but it is also a film for entertainment. Like, they're gonna zhuzh it up a little bit and make it a bit dramatic. Like,
Yeah.
I'm reserving judgment on that. I mean, it was so funny to see it, and like what was going around on social media was hilarious.
Yeah.
But I'm holding judgment at the moment.
I still think it's going to be a great thing. I think the film is going to... Because we're huge film buffs. Like, we are always talking about the latest movies, and sometimes not even the latest ones. Sometimes ones from like the 1950s. But like, I'm excited from a movie buff. I think like it's made by the guys from Top Gun. It has Hamilton as a producer. Hamilton is a huge kind of consultant for the film. So there is going to be a certain level of realism. But there are a few things that I've seen like I don't know. But I am excited. I mean, I interviewed Damson Idris last year, and he's like the nicest guy, like the nicest, most modest and talented actor as well. I haven't talked to Brad Pitt. We know what Brad Pitt's like. Like, he's as well a really talented actor. So they've got the people behind the film, and they've got the budget as well. Like, there was apparently a huge budget to the point where it was rumored that this film is going to be the most expensive film ever. Mm-hmm. I did ask Damson about that, and he was like, can't tell you much. So
can neither confirm or deny.
Yeah, he kind of like told me to shut up, but can't confirm or deny, like you said. But yeah, I think I like how it's integrated within F1.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen an F1 film or motorsport film like this before in terms of how it's been produced. Like, it will feature the current F1 drivers.
And I feel like they enjoyed it.
I mean...
Yeah,
like, I mean, those podium celebrations. I was living for it.
Yeah, I mean, I love how, like you said, like, they are part of the grid. The cars are, like, on track with the real cars. And, like, I swear I saw a photo of Damson giving Carlos Sainz a tickle.
A tickle?
I swear I did. I swear.
Heard it here first.
You heard it here first. Like, and the F1 drivers... like,
spoiler.
That is the love interest of the film. Like, there's a fun feel about it. Like, all the F1 drivers are involved, and like you can see in the back of, like, when they're in the back of filming, they're kind of like, I'm going to be on TV.
They're kind of
even more
strutting a little bit. I really like that you're kind of, if you're lucky enough to go to a race and you can get into the paddock and the pit, like, you're walking down the paddock and it's all the teams, and then suddenly it's Apex GP. I mean, we don't.
That's right, Apex GP. Yeah.
And it's kind of funny. Like, it is so integrated into the real sport, but it's completely fictional, and
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh,
It's just quite fun, isn't it?
it is fun. It's weird seeing it. So Vegas, they did a lot of filming in Vegas, and we were walking down the paddock, and you get all the teams, and they've got huge, like at the back of the pits, they've got huge kind of loads of lights. It's Vegas, like loads of lights, loads of marketing. Then you get to Apex, who are like right at the back. And there's like no branding. I think they ran out of budget at this point. Like the back of the pits, they're like, no one's going to see that. It's fine. There was like a security guard, and I was taking the photos because I was like, this is pretty cool. Like this is a movie. Like this is a film prop. And the security guard starts walking over to us, and I'm like, oh, he's going to tell me to delete the damn photos. The nicest guy, he's like, can I have those photos, please? So I'm like, yeah. I was like, get back there. I'm going to take some better photos. I never sent them to him because they came out so badly. It was just too dark. Too dark, and the lighting was behind him, so you couldn't see him. So I didn't. I'm sorry if you are that man. You're a lovely person, though. I appreciate you. But it was interesting seeing it as part of. You're right, as part of the F1 world. Like it was completely embedded.
Yeah.
And then like seeing Brad and Damson just walking around as well. Like obviously they get a lot of attention, but they get the same level of attention as an F1 driver does walking around the paddock. So again, it blends in.
Yeah.
Like people are asking for signatures, like they'd be asking Hamilton for his signature. Like. It's a really interesting way of doing it.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm very intrigued.
Yeah. No, so
that's all we know, really.
Yeah, so Brad Pitt is going to be Sonny Hayes. He's the older guy who comes out of retirement after some sort of drama, which pushed him out of the sport. Damson Idris is Joshua Pierce, the young gun who is fighting to become a better driver. And you got like I said, you've got Lewis Hamilton, who's a huge, like he's basically like the mind behind it. So the gear changes are going to be in the right place. It's not going to be one of those Fast and Furious things where they go through like 60. Excuse me. Oh my goodness, it's like 16 gears on a straight. There's no quarter mile. There's no random drifting. Only Max can seem to pull that off in a car, in an F1 car that is. So look, it's going to be really realistic. Hopefully, Brad is going to faint at some point, but he might be. Actually, you know what? Lance Stroll, he almost fainted last year during
Qatar.
Was it last year? The year before? God, my
Maybe
years
it's
are all over the place.
2023.
Yeah, 2023.
Yeah.
So maybe it's heat exhaustion.
Or imagine if that just doesn't happen at all.
They might cut it.
And they were like, it'd be really funny. Brad, can you just faint for a sec?
We're gonna put a pillow on the floor. I want you to face plant it.
To be fair, I thought it was quite realistic fainting.
Oh, he's good.
Yeah. I don't know if you've ever heard of him before, but he is an up-and-coming actor. And I think
He might be a name to watch now. Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. That's we've been rambling on for too long. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast and watching this podcast, wherever you're listening or watching. Please don't forget, you can find us all over the place. It's going to be a bit of a slow start getting into this. We're getting back into the feel of it. We haven't done it in a long time, but look, like I said, there's going to be loads and loads of stuff happening on YouTube and across Sports Illustrated, across Newsweek, across the sporting news. This year, it's going to be huge for us, and it's going to be a really exciting season. So we're really excited to hopefully bring you some of that enthusiasm. Again, thank you for watching, and we shall see you in the next podcast. Please like and subscribe. Bye-bye.